I remember my daughter asking me, Daddy, I heard that man say that you can't run marathons. Is it true? That was like a slap. Come on. You're trying to role model for your kids. And if somebody else tells you something is not possible, do you take it at face value? It's the mindset, it's the discipline, it's the I'll hang in there no matter what. The need to finish, right? What I start. I remember reading this story of this 70-year-old woman, Chow Smith. She ran 7 continents in 7 days. She was 71 years old. And I remember thinking, if she can do it, what's my excuse? I just didn't have an excuse. This idea of one more step. If something seems impossible, just keep taking one more step and you'll get there. You go from impossible to improbable to inevitable.
Hi, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what drives them. Their optimism, patience, idealism, and courage, these are their attributes which we hope to bring to life in our conversations with them. So if you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Amitu, today's guest is Satish Shenoy, a senior business executive, advisor, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and passionate marathon runner. With global experience across 40 countries, Satish has scaled companies like Lucent, Avaya, and SS&C Blue Prism. A distinguished Toastmaster and 7-continent marathoner. Yes, you heard that right. 7-continent marathoner. His blend of technical expertise and business acumen has inspired countless leaders and startups worldwide. Welcome to the show, Satish. How are you doing?
Doing great, Sabrina. Thank you for having me on this
Of
show.
course, thank you for being here. Your bio, that short bit is just so impressive. So we're excited to hear more.
Hi,
Thank you.
Satish.
And I have to just say also thanks to Rajesh Sethi for referring me to this show. And thanks to you both for having me.
I think we should just copy paste that because the last 20 guests, I think, have been either Rajesh Sethi or Rahul Menon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
All
jokes.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Okay. Satish, let's jump right in. I'm going to enjoy this conversation because we've had no prep. Like, this is our first time we're meeting, first time we're speaking. And Sabrina and I kind of get a kick out of that, So it's okay. So let's begin. Where were you born? Where do you live now? I think it's in the US. When did you move from India? Just to give us your background.
Sure. I was born in Bangalore, India. Grew up most of my life there. Actually, we did shuttle back and forth between Bangalore and Mangalore. If you know, Mangalore is on the southwest coast. So we are Konkanis, which means Mangalore is kind of ground zero for us, right? So there is, and Goa, of course, right? So there is that connection there with Goa, which is nice to have. But then after 1994, so in 1994, I moved to the US for higher studies at Michigan State and been here since. Now, I did do a short stint in Asia, Singapore and Thailand mostly, in 2004 when my boss asked me if I wanted to go, and so my wife Deepa and I moved to Singapore for a couple of years. But other than that, we've been in the US most of the time. We have covered coast to coast, right? I started in Michigan, moved to Denver and Boulder, Colorado, moved from there to Singapore and Thailand, and then came back to New York City. Went to school again in New York at Columbia Business School, and then moved right across the country to California before landing in Austin. And I don't think we're done yet, right? So that's about 20 moves in the last 30 years.
I live in Chile, so I'm in the other side of the world.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. Actually, I remember this when I was growing up, and I didn't believe face readers. The kind that tells you, people that tell you by looking at your face something about you. Have you ever
Hmm.
encountered people like that? So anyway,
Yeah.
this
I
I
haven't.
remember vividly this face reader coming to our friend's house one day when I was still in India, and he looked at me. He pointed at me and he said, "Your shoes are made for flying." Kind of, I'm paraphrasing him, but he said, "You will never stay in one place ever." So there we go.
Very cool. Well, we are neighbors. I'm in San Antonio, an
I
hour
hear.
south of you. And so we will have to meet before you move to your next location. And there's quite a few guests we've had from Austin. So I feel like we need to have like a gathering there.
Austin is really nice. We've been here about 3 years. I mean,
Okay.
the weather-wise, it's not as nice as California, I have to say,
Mhm. Yep.
especially in the summer. I get
Yeah,
a
it's
reminder
brutal.
every year.
Yeah,
But
pretty brutal.
no, but every place has its good and not so good things, and Austin is no different.
Right.
Satish, what are you doing now? Like, what is it you
So
do?
So I lead in my day job. I work for SS&C Blue Prism, as Sabrina introduced me. So I'm the regional vice president of technology alliances, and I lead their AI practice globally from a go-to-market standpoint.
And what does
And
the company
so
do?
it's so our company is actually SS&C is a huge company. They have acquired about 60 companies over the time they've been in business. They are in financial services and healthcare. They're a $5.8 billion company. Blue Prism is a part of it. We focus on AI and automation. And as a company, we have 20,000 plus customers, 27,000 employees. About $45 trillion goes through SS&C's platforms, actually. So very
45 trillion, you said.
45 trillion every year. So businesses are M&A, insurance, BPO businesses, all kinds. I mean, most of the core financial software is provided by us. Maybe our brand name is not on every single thing. We're not that visible, but we run a lot of the core financial software
So it's
platforms,
B2B,
B2B, largely
NASDAQ
B2B,
listed.
NASDAQ listed. In
Okay.
fact, our chairman was at NASDAQ ringing the bell just last week, Bill Stone. And he's based in Connecticut, so our headquarters is there. It's a great
Okay.
company to work for, lot to learn, huge business, right?
Okay.
So
And you mentioned Lucent. Were you?
Lucent was before that Avaya. This is where I started. Bell Labs is where I started after going to Michigan State. I did my electrical engineering at Michigan State and then computer science. And then I got recruited to Bell Labs, which was a dream of mine. Lucent was like the Google of today. At that time, it was cool to be part of Lucent, and really enjoyed that beginning. So.
Didn't Lucent acquire a big company, a big telecom company?
Alcatel, actually, it's the other way. Alcatel
It's the other way.
acquired Lucent. Yeah, he's
And
good memory.
Frank Cotron was the banker.
He was, and
Yeah, I was an analyst in Frank Cotron's technology group in London. That's why I remember the name.
yeah, it was a great company to work for. Even Avaya, I left in 2015, and Avaya was an amazing company. A lot of people came out of Avaya and have gone on to have amazing careers. Uh, but yeah, things have changed. So that's anything. The only change is only constant is change, as they say. So
Yeah. So running AI global services in fintech and health services.
yeah.
So are you an AI a doomster, or you think AI is going to change the world for a better place? What's your opinion? Because we've heard both sides now, right? We've
Hmm.
heard the Elon Musk, be careful, OpenAI should be a non-profit, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden everybody's now a for-profit AI company. You know, what are
yeah.
your thoughts on AI and where we're headed?
I mean, granted, given that we are a AI and automation business, we'll always be positive about it. We're biased that way, right? But I will tell you, generally, I think if AI is used in the right way, it can do amazing things for us. We're seeing that with our customers actually, and I travel the world talking to our clients. In fact, I'm going to leave in a couple of hours, going to do an executive briefing for a client with our sales teams. I do that a lot recently, especially in the last 12 months. I've been to about 14 countries just for, talking about AI and the potential and how we can help them get there. I think AI used properly can do wonders. We have seen that across many different industries, even, right? Everything from financial services, healthcare, manufacturing, retail, utilities, you name it. It's an exciting time.
How do you think AI will affect the job market for our children, the younger generation?
Or our
Well,
jobs.
I I remember a very nice quote. I was at a customer executive panel recently, and the CEO mentioned this quote, and I was prepared to actually share this. So, if you think about AI won't replace people, right? AI will replace people who don't know AI.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a tool.
So to me, AI, every single major thing that has been introduced from the industrial revolution, there's always been, oh my God, what's this going to do to us and our kids and our generation? Usually, we overestimate the short term and underestimate the long term, right? So in the long term, I think there's a lot more benefit, lot more potential for challenges also, right? Possible. But short term, I think there's nothing to worry about as long as you stay up with the trends, you know how to use AI wisely, right? So to me,
I
I
think
that's
also
that's
think on
impossible.
top,
I think
yeah,
AI
I
is
sorry.
changing every day. It's impossible to keep up with what's
Yeah,
happening in AI. It's just impossible.
I also think there'll be new professions that we can't even fathom yet
yeah,
pop up.
that's
Just
it.
like when the computer was just introduced, everyone was fearful that, a basic computer would take away jobs. But then there were so many new professions that
Yeah.
we didn't even know existed yet.
I mean, think of the automated teller machine, right? The ATM. Think about what you use for checkout. What is it called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Every one of these things, there was a lot of hue and cry that it's going to take away jobs and people. I don't
Hmm.
think it is that big a deal. As long as, again, who knows what tomorrow brings? As you said, Amit, don't know, right? And I won't even act like I do, even though I'm in the space. But it's exciting right now.
Yeah.
So
Let's move away from doomsday and AI and Terminator 2 scenarios. Let's talk about marathon. When did you get the bug for running? And do you think or do you feel that the bug for running has contributed to your success and where you are today as a leader?
absolutely, I think it has changed my life actually in a lot of ways, right? So the bug for marathon running came in when we just had moved to California. I think we moved in December 2011. So I started running pretty late, 42 years. And, I remember we had gone to a Christmas party and I'd met this marathon runner who had run 65 marathons. And it was a family gathering, right? So my daughter was young at the time. I have two kids, but my daughter was young, and I remember, uh, we are gorging on food. Of course, who doesn't at holiday parties? And then the marathon runner told me. He looks at me. He says, "I don't think you can run a full marathon. There's no way.
Ooh.
So it was a
There is
challenge.
no." Yeah, and he was a
Was
little
he being sincere though? He was
he was a little drunk, right? So he was speaking
okay.
his mind, right? When you've had a little too much, you can say things that you'll probably regret later.
Right.
Every Friday for Sabrina.
And so this guy told me, and I respected him, right? In the Indian culture, you tend to respect older people, and I'm like, okay, maybe true, right? But it's interesting. That's when I came home that night, and I remember my daughter asking me, he said, Daddy, I heard that man say that you can't run marathons. Is it true? I said, that was like a slap, right? It's like, come on. If there's anything, you know, you're trying to role model for your kids, and if somebody else tells you something is not possible, do you take it at face value? I said, no, 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 no. And I'm thinking, my God, how am I going to do this, right? So next morning, incidentally, my cousin, who actually got me started, invited me to a running group because we had eaten so much the last night. I'd said, hey, I want to give it a shot. So anyway, I started with this group called Om Run. It's a very vibrant group down in North Carolina. Sorry,
Home run?
Northern California in San Jose.
Home run or
And
home run?
Om Run, Om like in
As in our Om. AUM.
Om. Yeah,
OM.
AUM.
AUM.
OM,
Okay.
AUM. Yeah,
So it's an
Om
Indian
Run.
group. Indian group of
Yeah,
runners.
it is. And well, there are more than Indians, but
Yeah.
it's by the Chinmaya Mission
Sure.
community.
Sure.
And so I became part of this group, and I'm telling you, it changed my life because you think that something is not possible, but then your village is really what helps you kind of keep going, right? So I never looked back after that. I started with a 5K, then a 10K, and then half, and then within 6 months, I'd run my first marathon. So
You were
Wow.
43? How old were you?
43, 42 then, yeah.
Satish, that's impressive. I've done 3 half marathons, and every time I think about running a full, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to commit. Let me think about it. And I'm like, I think 13's enough.
I've watched one marathon at the Olympics, and I said, not for me, Sabrina.
So,
Absolutely
how
not for
many
me.
have you ran now?
I think officially I've ran at least 10, maybe more.
Okay.
Um, I injured myself after my last race, and so I took a break for about 6 months. I started running again. I just can't give that up. I think it's my sanity. In
Yeah.
fact, my wife Deepa says some days when I have not gotten out, she says, "Have you not run today? Why are you so?"
Oh, she could see it in you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Satish,
What
how
yeah.
is
old are
there
you?
a mile? Is
I'm
there a
not
mile
fit.
marker that's like oh man, it's coming up. Like I need to mentally break through that wall?
For me, I mean, I think most people say mile 20 is the wall. Most people say that. But for me, I've noticed that when I get past 18, if I get past 18 miles, then it's easier for me. Once I get past 18, some people probably is 20, but, everybody's different. It also depends. And since you've run half marathons, you know this, Sabrina, how you start makes a big difference, right? Because you tend to kind of get so inspired and you're high energy, you take off, and then you regret later why you did what you did because you tend to run faster than you had planned for,
Right.
and then you'll pay for it, right? For the second half. But it's been good, yeah. It's
That's
Two
great.
two
How
questions.
oh, go
How
ahead.
old are you, and what was your fastest time to complete a full marathon? A full marathon is
50
42 kilometers.
42 kilometers.
Yeah,
I'm 53 now.
you're 53.
Yeah.
You don't look it.
And thank
Mhm.
you. And let's see, just below 10 minutes. So a mile. So 420. 420.
4 hours,
So
4 hours 20 minutes.
4 hours, 20 minutes. So just brings me just below 10 minutes a mile.
Okay. That's a
I don't
great.
know. I actually don't know why I asked. I don't know how that ranks. Are you in the top 30%? Are you in the
No,
you're in the top
no.
10% for Indian men for sure.
For sure. And the fact that you do it is just
Yeah,
wow.
and
Congrats. Congrats on all those marathons.
Thank you.
That's
No,
great.
it's been
How
fun.
has that spilled over in the rest of your life?
Oh, in a lot of ways, Sabrina. First of all, the community, right? That the village that I was able to be part of, that village has stuck with me. Even when I'm in Austin, I've had people, who are still part of that community. But more than that, it's the mindset, it's the discipline, it's the I'll hang in there no matter what, right? It's the need to finish, right? What I start. It's it's so many things that it's not even. It's hard to kind of quantify everything, but it's just all these things, right? So let me give you an example, right? Mindset. I'd say mindset is probably the biggest thing, because I remember I would say, okay, I want to run 10 miles today, right? And I would start. If I wanted to do 12, my mind is already thinking 10. And I'm going to, after 10, I'm going to start if I change my mind, that is, I would say, no, I think I'm done. I'm just tired today, right? Even though your mind is playing tricks on you all the time. So, this idea of impossible. I remember when I first heard about the Antarctica Marathon, I remember thinking, my God, that's impossible. That's not for me. There is no way I could, an Indian man, healthy, healthy in, what I mean by that, right? And I don't have a runner's body, right? Look at me. And I actually made fun of this at a recent talk I gave, saying if there was a police lineup and they had to pick one runner from that lineup, 100% of the time they
Be
would not
lucky.
pick me. They would not pick
That's
me.
funny.
They would think, how is that possible? But anyway, this idea of mindset really, I think, is incredible, right?
Right.
Because once you put your mind to something. Oh, I was telling you about impossible, right? The Antarctica Marathon. I remember thinking it's impossible. But then I remember reading this story of this 70-year-old woman from the Bay Area, actually. Her name is Chow Smith. She ran 7 continents in 7 days, right? And she was 71 years old. And I remember thinking, if she can do
Wow.
it, what's my excuse? I just didn't have an excuse.
Is she
There's no
dead though?
way. Yeah. No, no, no. She's still running. I checked on her. I keep checking on her because she's an inspiration to me. She probably doesn't even know I exist, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Satish, when you mentioned your village, are you using the word village because Chinmaya Mission uses that as a word, or is it just your group? What
No,
do you mean by
it's
village?
just for me a group that kept me going, that made this all possible. Right, the whole idea of 7 continent marathons. There are so many incredible people in that group. One of all the coaches, right, Ranga and Prasanna and all these people that are part of the group. They, if I may, I'll share a funny story, right, and a very insightful learning, right? This is the kind of thing that happens in the village. I remember running, it was probably my first or second run, and I'm coming up this hill and I'm struggling. I just can't make it up, right? As Sabrina, as a runner, the hills will kill you if you're not careful, right?
Right.
Especially those long
Oh, the
hills.
hills are
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember I was trying to run, and this friend from the village, Prasanna is his name. He comes beside me. He says, "Just pump your hands, and you will cruise." To this day, I'm telling you, when I run, I remember him. I pump my hands, arms, and it's like he said to me, "Pump your arms, and your legs will follow." A simple insight, right? If I had not
Mhm.
heard that from my village, and there were so many examples like that, but it's a very powerful example to me because it means so many things, right? Hill and
yes.
obstacles, whatnot. So
Your village, I'm sure, were there too, cheering you on, while you're running. And that to me does so much. Even
yeah.
people I didn't know cheering me on. My first half marathon was in San Antonio,
Hmm.
and we end up at the Alamo Dome. And of course, right, you're about to hit mile 13, and you turn a corner, and there was this really steep hill. And I looked at it and I was like, I'm done. I can't. But the people cheering you
Yeah,
on the sides, just, with posters and, you got this, you're almost done. And they're like, you know what? Just find it inside of you. And just
yeah.
see, maybe, well, no.
How
See, I was
many
going to
hours,
say,
Sabrina?
maybe I'll think about again doing 20. Mm.
Maybe we should do the half together next
Yes. In
San
Austin.
Antonio.
Austin has some good ones, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, they
Sabrina,
do.
how many hours?
Me, about 220, I think, was my
That's great. That's very good.
fastest.
That's
220. That
wonderful.
was my last one I did in LA.
When was this, Sabrina?
The LA one, the
When she
last
was
one I did,
single.
my daughter was about 3. I did one before I got pregnant and then 2 after she's been born. So she 3 and she's 11 now. So 8 years ago was the
8 years
last
ago.
one.
That's yeah. That's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
You still have it?
Okay,
Or-
Yeah.
I'm
Wait, I do have one question about,
yeah.
did you ever stick it to that elder Indian man who told you can't do it? Did you tell
No,
him anything?
never. No, never. In fact, he probably didn't even remember he said it. Right?
Yeah.
There are people who will say things and do things that they, in their sane moments, they probably wouldn't do that. So he's a reasonable man. It's just, I
Yeah. It
think,
wasn't worth saying anything to him.
yeah,
Sabrina,
it's like,
he should thank
you
him,
know,
not stick it to him. He should thank him.
in some ways, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Of
that's right.
course,
Yeah. That makes
he's the
sense.
reason for the inspiration. The daughter was the slap that got you going, but he's the one that started the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Okay,
point.
I'm tired of the running. Can we move on? Okay. Apart from a marathon runner and running all these successful companies and AI, you're also a writer, and you wrote a book called Runaway Growth.
Mm.
I like to go to Amazon and read the reviews. And when I read the reviews of the book, I felt it was like talking to me. It was all about, dream big, uh, move on, like challenge yourself, perseverance. And I just informed Sabrina off the records that I've decided to leave Chile after 12 years and move the
Wow.
family to India. And this has caused a little bit of tension with my family, aka wife, who doesn't understand why, when we're so comfortable and we've got now our friend circle, our social circle, the kids are in school, why on earth would I make this decision to quit what I'm doing and start something new in India where I don't speak a word of Hindi? And I just thought it's the right thing to do. Like, life here is like vanilla, and
Mm.
India is where it's happening, and the opportunities are there. And now we got to think about 3 kids. I've got 3 kids under 10. So when they, in 15, 20 years, when they want to get a job, if they know
Yeah.
Hindi and they're street smart Indian boys, I think that India will be the best place for them to be. And I explained all this to my wife and my family, and everyone looked at me like I'm bananas. And for me, staying here put because I've reached my comfort stage is
Yeah.
actually the thing that drives me insane, because I see everyone happy in their asados and living a good life. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking there's so much more to life. So
Yeah.
reading your, not that I've read the whole book, but just reading a little bit, it's like the kind of thing that inspires you, that wants to grow. So tell us about the book, why you wrote it, and
Yeah.
what has been the reviews, and how many have you sold? Whatever you can share.
Yeah. So, by the way, this story of yours reminded me of how I got to Singapore, where we were happy. We have a place in Denver, Boulder, Colorado. Everything is going swimmingly well. One day, my boss, I still remember him, AJ Kapoor. He comes into my office and he says, "How about we have a great opportunity for you. How about moving to Singapore?" So I still remember it was January 5th of 2004 or something like that. I forget the exact date. And he comes into my office. He asked me this question. So I said, "What does that entail?" He said, "Well, moving to Singapore by, let's say, March 1st." Like, are you crazy? No, that's not happening. I've not even talked to my wife. He's an amazing guy, by the way. Still an inspiration for me. But then I said, how about May 20,
Yeah,
2004? Right?
sure.
Because I loved the idea after I heard a little more. And then he said, okay, done. April, done. So here we are. We have to sell the cars, move
Yeah,
everything, get the place rented, do everything. Right? They did support us, but it reminded me of that experience, right, where we had
yeah.
to move lock, stock, and barrel.
I'm
So
leaving. I'm
anyway,
organizing soccer parties for the two kids. One's a birthday party, and next door pitch is the leaving party. So
but congratulations to you, Amit,
yeah,
and to
thank
your
you.
family. That's amazing that you're willing to shake things up and move, right?
Yeah, if things don't work out, it's it's more than it's my marriage. It's everything on the line. So no risk.
No, I'm sure things will go really well. Well, writing the book, right? To me, writing the book has actually been like a marathon, just in terms of the experience, right? You always like a marathon. See, every marathon, and I know Sabrina will probably relate to this. Most runners do. There's a strong start, there's a messy middle, and then an exciting finish, right? So there are three parts. Writing the book was like that to me, right? That experience. But the reason I wrote the book was because I remember thinking, actually, here's how it came about, just briefly, right? I was giving a talk on this idea of one more step. The title of the talk was One More Step. And the idea was, if something seems impossible, just keep taking one more step and you'll get there, right? Because you go from impossible to improbable to inevitable, right? Those are the three stages of mindset. Because if you think back to my Antarctica marathon, when I first started, it was impossible, right? But then I saw people doing it, then it became improbable, and then finally it became inevitable, right? So that journey is there. But the book journey was similar, right? That initially I thought, oh my God, who's going to write this book? But then when I gave this talk, and I kept giving this talk to multiple, schools and Toastmaster clubs and so on, and people would keep coming back to me and saying, "You should write a book." When you hear that for the 10th, 11th, 12th time, you're thinking, "Huh, maybe I should." But what inspired me are my kids because they wrote their first book at 12 and 10 years old in 2020 when the pandemic came. They were bored out of their minds, and they had, my son had done this course in drawing or illustrations, right? He's a really good artist, and my daughter is a really good writer. So we told them, why don't you write a book? Well, what we didn't realize is it would come back to us in a couple of years, because my daughter said, why don't you write the book now, right? It's because she published her first book in August 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, when she was 12. And,
Before ChatGPT, before
before
Midjourney
chatting.
and GPT could do the book faster.
Exactly, right? So, anyway, so there were many reasons I wrote the book, but one main reason was because I kept hearing that. And then I thought, if I can write the book, think about scaling, right? I love this idea of scaling people and companies. That's what I do anyway in my role at Blue Prism, even. Um, and this idea of scaling, how do you reach more people? 1,000 plus copies sold, and so how do I reach people, more people, and I do that through the book.
Okay. Now I just Sabrina, he called you a runner. Something you did 8 years ago, and he called you a runner.
I was
Once
actually
and
going to
another,
run
yeah,
today.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't consider myself a runner. It was like a challenge I gave myself.
Just an
Okay.
athlete,
And then
Sabrina. Just an athlete.
just overall athlete. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You name the sport, I got it. No, just kidding.
Everything but a podcaster, huh, Sabrina? Everything but a podcaster host. Okay, Sabrina, I have lots of questions. Do you want to go or I go?
No, go for it. You have one? Go for it.
Okay, Okay, Toastmaster club, Toastmaster skills. Correct me if I'm wrong. Toastmaster is someone who is a professional public speaker.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I
yeah,
studied
This
in
is a
the
absolutely.
British
national
system.
organization
Yeah, it's a national
or
organization.
international, right?
Actually, it's international. It's
Yeah.
got, I think it's in 100, countries, something like that. 500,000 people are members, maybe more. And it's about two things. It's about leadership, growing your, or, you know, developing your leadership and your public speaking skills. So I'm what they call a distinguished Toastmaster, which is the highest level you can achieve within Toastmasters. There's probably about, somewhere between probably 2 to 5%, I would say, are distinguished within Toastmasters. And it's an incredible organization. I was at the 100th year celebration on August 15th of this year. They celebrated 100 years. So incredible organization.
I, I want to get into this a bit more, but first, I want to relate it to me, like I always do. I went to a British school, and I
Yeah,
realized that all the way throughout, including my 3 years of university, I came out and I had never ever done a public speaking or a course, or you know how in the American schools you get up in front of your class and you say things. I never did that in the British system, and
Really?
I think it is. I think it should be mandatory,
yeah,
a class that you should get up and have the balls to speak in front of your friends. Now, when I speak, wedding, parents' anniversary, there's so much alcohol in the system that it's easy. But
yeah.
I think it should be. I think it should be mandatory, and I want to
In
just
fact,
bring that up.
Naima, my
Yeah,
sixth grader, Satish, is doing one today. And
Yeah.
she always says, she goes, I said, are you going to present today? And she said, yeah, I always volunteer second. And I said, why
Like,
second? Go first. And she's like, no, I need someone else to go first and then I'm ready. And I was like,
really. I
that's
mean, that
great.
takes guts.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's something that my British system never gave me that opportunity. I
hmm.
repent it, and I think it should just, it's a must. And I admire people who can just get out there and just speak so well. You are a distinguished Toastmaster. So, how can you part your knowledge in Toastmaster skills to aspiring Toastmasters like Sabrina and myself?
By the way, the same challenge you have in India, right? Teaching public speaking is not part of the curriculum because it follows the British system.
Yeah,
I
correct.
mean, things are changing now, probably, but
Not
here,
enough.
the kids actually in the US, actually, it's a global organization called Gavel Club. Just so you know, right? Because because people are listening to this podcast, I should share that even kids across the globe have access to what's called a Gavel Club, which is the younger version of Toastmasters.
G
So
A
both
V E
my
L.
Cool.
GAVEL, like the gavel,
Like a
like the.
gavel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have one in California that is online Zoom meetings, and both my kids have been members for, I would say, 5 years. I mean, they become the officers of the club. They run the club, so they get to see finances. They get to see how to actually get people into the club. They do all kinds of things, right, as a leadership. But then they also do public speaking, which is, to me, is incredible. I was just helping my daughter this past weekend. She put together a speech in less than 20 minutes and delivered it so impeccably. I was shocked in a pleasant way. It's just incredible how they develop the skill. And if you had taken her, one reason she wrote the book was because she was painfully shy growing up, right? And she wanted to help others. And Toastmasters is about that, right? It's about giving people a place, a safe place to come and give these speaking skills a shot, right? They'll give you feedback. Every Toastmaster meeting really has, I would say, three main parts. First is prepared speeches. Second is impromptu speaking. And third is evaluations. And in every one of those parts of the Toastmaster meeting, you get to speak, right? The idea is everybody needs to speak and gets an opportunity to do so, right? Some of them will be more prepared. Some will be, in the impromptu speaking. It's going to be challenging, especially the first few times, but then you get, it's like going to the gym and,
Yeah, it's a
toning your
skill.
muscle.
It's a skill.
It's
Sabrina
And
and
you
I
must
are
be
registering our
meeting
kids
some
right
of
now on Gavel Club.
you
Yeah,
are.
I
actually,
love
if
it.
you truly are serious, I
I am very
can
serious.
I can ask my kids to follow up and invite your kids to join them. The parents
My
get involved just to kind of
Sure.
provide guidance.
Sabrina, you're on?
Yeah, I'm in. Yep.
I'm in. She
it's
has an
it's
11-year
amazing.
old. I have a 9-year-old.
So it's usually for 10 plus years, but 9 years if they're able to sit for 1 hour, then
No,
they're fine.
on Jan 30th, he turns 10.
Oh, then probably fine. I mean, as long as he can sit for an hour, which is a challenge for younger kids. That's why we try to say 10, but 9 is good enough. Anyway, Toastmasters changed my life. Even growing up, I was a very shy kid, believe it or not. Most people don't believe it because I'm on stages that, big stages. I speak to customers. They invite me to a lot of these customer briefings. As I mentioned, I'm going to one, I go probably every week to a customer, several customer meetings. And so presenting and sharing the idea is a big part of what we do, right? How else do you get your idea across, right? It doesn't mean you have to be a public speaker. You have to be able to communicate, whether it's in writing or reading or speaking, sorry. Now, Toastmasters also has helped me kind of crystallize my ideas better because before you speak, right? Who's it that said, if you give me an hour, if I have to speak for an hour, I can speak now. If I have to speak for 30 minutes, give me a week. If I have to speak for 10 minutes, give me a month or something like that, right?
It
So
wasn't me.
it wasn't me. It wasn't you. It was some, I think it was Winston Churchill or one of those
Yeah,
people of that caliber, right?
Gandhi. Yeah, one
Yeah.
of those.
No, because it takes finesse, it takes preparation, it takes effort to actually say things in a more calibrated fashion than it
Right.
does if you have to speak randomly, right? So it's an incredible organization. It's changed my life,
I
and
think it's
I
a
think
great
we need
skill.
more of these organizations now more than ever
mhm,
with kids always doing this,
yeah, on their
right?
phones all the time. Yeah,
Yeah. And
Uh,
sometimes we'll ask our daughter like, "Oh, you just met someone. What's their, we're at a function. What's her name?" I don't know.
yeah,
"Oh, what did you
and
guys talk?"
the
I
one with
don't
the red
know.
hair.
Yeah. I'm like, "You guys not communicate anymore?"
yeah. Now, the neat thing about Gavel Clubs is we also ask that at least one parent become a Toastmaster member because, it's a shared journey also, right? When my kids um, came from where they were, which is very shy, on their devices, don't want to communicate, don't want to talk to anybody, and you should see them now. You should see my daughter. You should see my son. My son is the president of the club, and he has to communicate. He has to delegate. He has to lead. Otherwise, things don't get done. Or he has to do it all himself. In fact, I mean, he probably will give me a tough time for saying this, but I remember him initially wanting to do all by himself because it's faster, Dad. It's easier to just me doing it versus asking somebody else to do it. I had to remind him that you're the president and your job is to make sure you lead others, you share a vision of where you want to take the club. All these things
It's
that
a good
we have
lesson to learn at a young age.
at a young
Delegate,
age.
trust your team. Yep.
I'm sending my kids to Shenoy School Limited. Sabrina, I think it
Satish, do
sounds
you
better.
ever do you still get like jitters going up on stage in front of a big crowd speaking?
I would
Or this
say
podcast.
it's no, actually, I'm perfectly comfortable. Honestly, there's nothing. But I would say if it's a big stage, usually there is always some jitters, right?
Yeah.
In the first, I would say the first 30 seconds, first minute, they say if you feel butterflies in your stomach, get them to fly in formation, right? That's what you do with speaking, right? So as long as you get them to fly in formation, and the hardest part is the 30 seconds. And here's a little secret. I actually use this at a speech I did this past weekend. I tell people that, in the first 30 seconds, ask the audience a question, share a story, give yourself time to allow them to react, which gives you time to settle down. Right? If I ask you a question, what are the most important skills for somebody to be a leader? I did this speech on the 5 buckets you need to fill to be a successful leader, right? That's the premise of the speech I did on Saturday. And my first question was, have you ever seen and admired a leader you thought, wow, how did this person get there? Have you ever done that? The obvious answer is yes. Most people have. But it gives you a pause, right? You ask a question, you pause for a second, everybody's shaking their heads, and you settle, you're settling down yourself. And then they answer, somebody will say, yeah, let me tell you something about, somebody from the audience will lift their, because if you ask them to comment, now it gives you a chance to kind of feel settled, and then you
And then
go
you've
on.
connected with your audience in a certain
Exactly.
way.
And
Okay.
And then you don't stop.
yeah, exactly. You don't stop after that, right? It was so much fun. I
Oh,
did for
that's
Satish,
20
great.
minutes. Yeah.
how old are the kids? How old are your kids? And what age did you give them screen time devices,
So
smartphones?
16 and 14, the the children got their own phones in, I think when they hit high school.
How old is that?
Because, yeah. So that's about what, 12, well, hang
14,
on.
15?
Yeah, 14, 15 years. They did get screen time before that, but we would always say, listen, we'll give you an hour. If you try to abuse that, then, you get that time deducted from whatever you're doing, right? I mean, I think we had challenges with kids. I mean, they're kids after all, right? So with screen time, of course we do. We want kids to spend less time on their screens. That's the truth. But if they get their job done, if they're willing to follow few rules. So one of our rules, if you will, is no devices on the dining table.
yeah,
Period.
that's a
No
must. Yeah,
exceptions. Not even for daddy, who
yeah, yeah.
always
Not
has a,
even yours.
not even
Yeah,
me, right? No devices in the bedroom.
sure. My
Simple
three-year
rule.
old, my 3-year old turns 4 in a couple of weeks. He gets up at 5:36 in the morning. He now has figured out how to use the TV remote control. So around 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning, I'm hearing Paw Patrol in the background, really loud. He's figured out the volume up and down. He's figured out YouTube, and only when there's a battery problem in the remote control, he comes and knocks on my head and goes, "Puppy, puppy, it's not working. Fix it." So it's a bit
That's
annoying.
good.
Anyway, wow, time does fly when you're having
Yeah,
fun,
it
huh?
does.
Satish,
Yeah.
we ask all our guests uh, only one question, like
Mhm.
The
to all
same.
our guests, the same one, which is what is their current definition of success, and has that evolved over the decades?
Um, it's a great question, and I'm not saying that because there's a tendency to say, oh, it's a great question. It is a great question because success can mean different things to different people. For me, it's a combination of things. Actually, it brings back to the 5 buckets talk I was doing, right? If you look at the five
Give us
buckets,
the 1 minute answer
yeah,
on
the
the
one
token.
minute answer is it's a combination of things for me. It's family and friends, having meaningful relationships, number one, being financially independent, ideally, but maybe financially solid, and then peace of mind. Knowing that what you have done or what you're doing every day is your best, and you didn't mean to hurt anybody or whatever, right? Just peace of mind. You know what you've done, and you are good with it. So you probably start there, right? Peace of mind, family and friends, meaningful meaningful work, because it's really, really important to be fulfilling. I feel fortunate that I have a job that I love. Of course, the finance thing, right? Those are kind of some of the ingredients I
Sure.
look at when I think of success.
Yeah. Great.
You know what he just did, right?
Yeah.
He
You're.
put it in the five spheres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And inspiration. Who inspires you, Satish? Who's your role models that we may know of?
Oh, so
Any
many.
any Elon Musk's or Donald Trump's that you want to throw out?
We
Uh,
had to. I was like, wow, we're gonna go an episode without bringing it up.
Or Vivek Ramaswamy? I
oh,
don't know.
holy
Who?
cow! Oh my God. No, there are so many people. There's some. I call them. These are mentors that they're not alive anymore, right? Or they're too far to reach, if you will. But then there are mentors who are alive and well and engage with you, right? So in the first category, that of course, people like Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and you on and on. There's so many of them, right? Muhammad Ali. By the way, I love Muhammad Ali's. He has a beautiful quote about impossible. But anyway, we won't go. We won't have time for that. Um, People like, if I look at business, right, there are certain people I work with that are inspiring, that are mentors. In running, there's a gentleman by the name of Dan Waldschmidt. Rajesh actually first introduced me to Dan, and he has been true inspiration for me. Rajesh Sethi, for personally, I think he's like a brother to me. I'm sure he's a brother to a lot of people, but he has been incredible, right? Great mentor. There are so many people. It's hard to name everybody, but just having people in running. Like, I had so many mentors who are part of that village. I mentioned a few names, so it's hard to give you a whole bunch of names, but at least categorize them as mentors who are alive and well and working with us, versus mentors who inspire us but probably not reachable or not with us anymore.
It's fine. Sabrina and I used to like Sean Diddy, so our our role models are a little bit questionable characters.
Yeah.
No, I think it's anybody who gets you going, right, from a positive standpoint, I think can be a mentor. So who can make you reach for things you thought were not possible even, right? So
Yeah, inspirational. Someone who makes you smile. Someone who makes you laugh. Someone who gives you energy, positive energy and vibes.
absolutely.
Hmm. Sabrina,
Should we go into rapid fire?
uh, let's go for it.
All right. So just answer first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Best book you've ever read, other than yours or your children's?
Best book I've ever read. Interesting.
The inspiration one, the one that you gift most.
Oh, I I recently, actually, there's a recency bias always. I read
Yeah,
this book called Road Less Stupid,
Road Less Stupid.
because the reason I like that book, by Keith Cunningham, who's based in Austin actually. And the reason I love that book is it's about thinking time. I mean, if there's one thing that we don't do enough of, what's the most anyway, so attention is what is lacking, right, in our world these days. So thinking and reflecting and asking questions, the book is about thinking time. And so very nice book called The Road Less Stupid.
my,
Okay.
my closest friends say that's my biggest weakness. That I'm always doing something, and I need to
Ah,
just calm the f up and just think before acting. I'm always acting or talking, and I should just
yeah.
think more.
Can I ask you though, if this helps? Right? What I'm like that myself, Amit. I have to. My wife always tells me that I always have to do something. Um, one thing that helped me was walking and running. When I go for a long walk and it's quiet and it's early in the morning, nobody around you, just you're to yourself, right? And good opportunity.
Yeah,
Me
like
too.
even
I don't
that.
think you can run a half or full marathon.
No, no, do I want to?
Oh no,
But
I was
like,
trying to be that person who's
no,
like
no,
going to
no,
challenge you.
no, 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 not at all, not at all. I don't want to. Um, I'm a sports guy, right? So for me, running is not a sport. No disrespect. That's how I feel, right? For me, running is like Formula One. It's a sport, but for me, it ain't a sport. I'm a for me football, tennis, basketball, paddle, sports. My
Badminton, tennis,
Yeah,
whatever.
my alone time is actually Pilates, and but also I'm not really thinking. The alone time that you refer to for me is the shower. When I take a long
Mm,
shower, all
yeah.
my best ideas are when I'm taking a shower, and the morning
Mm,
showers, not the evening showers. Yeah.
You're
Okay.
fresh.
Pardon?
I said you're fresh in the morning.
Yeah,
yeah.
fresh in the morning, and you take first you start with the cold shower, and you like what the hell, and then you take the warm and the heat, and all of a sudden it's like a sauna, and that's when the mind starts going,
Mm.
hey, what about this? What about that? And I don't have a pen and paper that I want to jot things down because I forget things quite fast, so that's a bit annoying. But anyway, um, next question. You've been around. I mean, 40 plus countries, marathons. Give us your favorite unexpected country or city that you most like, you loved, and that you tell your kids you have to go and see this city.
Antarctica was mind blowing. I've never seen anything like that, nor will I see one again. A place like that again. The
Isn't it just
silence.
white? Isn't it just white and boring?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's pure. I mean, there are beautiful sights too. Anyway, it was incredible. The other place that is more, I guess, doable is Bhutan. I loved Bhutan. When we went, visited, my wife and I visited Bhutan before kids, and we simply loved it. The innocence of the place, right? The innocence of the people, locked in time, was special.
I think it's also because you didn't have kids then. It was just you and your wife time, and you enjoyed that moment so much. Once the kids came, the problem started. Sabrina?
Okay. Do you have a go to song while you're running that really pumps you up?
Holy cow! I'm not one for too much of because I use my time, as I was saying, to think and reflect. Um, Anything high tempo, I did this uh, when when I get past 18 and 20 miles. That's when I turn on the music because I need it most. It's almost like a crutch for me, right? I need it when I want to be kind of inspired. Um, for a while, I used to play Despacito,
Yeah.
but
That's
in
awesome.
in different
Mix.
you know different instruments. So there was an Indian version. I don't know if you've ever heard Despacito in Indian instruments.
Like Bhangra or
No, no,
Punjabi
no.
or
Tabla and
tabla.
violin. And
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
it's incredible. Just look it up. Despacito in Indian instruments, and
It's
my
probably
daughter
better.
still.
It's probably
It's
from the
beautiful.
original.
It's beautiful, right? So
Very
I love that.
cool. I like that answer.
Yep.
Sabrina, I have two questions. Is
Go
that
for
okay?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about his the brands one.
Yeah.
Satish, if you had to tattoo two brands in your arms, and those brands, because you've tattooed them in your body, you have those products or services free for the rest of your life until you die. What would those
Oh
two
my
brands
God!
be?
What a great what a great question.
We never said it'd be easy.
What would the two brands be?
While you're thinking about that, Sabrina, the last question, why don't you ask the New York Times board
Okay, sure.
question? Yeah. Sorry, Satish, go on.
Two brands.
Yeah. What was
Anything
yours,
help.
Sabrina's? Sabrina's was Louis Vuitton and
No, it wasn't. It was Amazon
oh,
because
Amazon.
I order from there all the time. I might as well just get everything I need for free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Amazon. Mine was
that's
what? Mine
true.
was Four Seasons
Yours
Hotel.
was
What was
Four
that?
Seasons and an airline,
And an airline. Yeah, to get
which is
anywhere
a
in the
good
world.
one.
Yeah.
Which oh, you could choose anything like that. Okay,
Yeah,
then
service.
yeah, then definitely an airline because I love travel.
Which one?
Oh, geez,
You've been in
Singapore,
all. Singapore
Singapore,
Airlines. Okay.
Singapore Airlines or Cathay Pacific if Singapore is not available.
Yeah.
Amazing experience. Um, and then hotels,
The suite.
the
You
Four
can't copy
Seasons.
me with airline and hotel, Satish. Sorry. You have to come
Uh,
up with your own answers.
right.
Cancel
You know,
both.
anything Westin or above, right? The W, any of
Yeah.
those. That would be nice. I mean, I would. People ask me, what would I do if I was not doing what I'm doing, right? I'd
Better
probably
question.
be. I'd probably be a traveling food critic
Like
Mm.
because
the
I love
Michelin
to
star
write.
guy. The guy who decides on
Yeah,
the Michelin stars.
someday I'm going to do this. Amit and Sabrina, I tell my wife jokingly that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to India and give NRIs, people who live outside of
Sure.
India, a great way to travel across India safely and, without having to worry about the food, is it safe, etc. Right? And go to
First
the right.
customer. I need
There we
that.
go. Yeah. So,
You could put his brand, tattoo his brand on you. So all your travels in India are free. There you go. Okay, last question.
uh-huh.
We are giving you a billboard in New York Times Square.
Yeah.
On that billboard, you get to put your slogan for life,
Yeah.
your motto. What is it?
Your just do it for Nike.
But your personal one, what is it?
Never stop challenging yourself.
I like that. And I feel like that really describes who we've learned you are in this hour.
I'm gonna
This has
tell my
been
I'm gonna tell my wife
fantastic.
tonight. Honey, don't stop challenging yourself, honey. You can do more. You can do better. You can be
You can
nicer to
do
your
better.
husband.
Please don't tell her you can do better.
You can cook better for your husband.
There's a difference between challenging and you can do better.
Yeah. So,
And that's how the fight started.
yeah, no, I told my wife that Toastmasters stops at the door because we talked about Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, you give evaluation to speeches, right? You never
Yeah.
want to evaluate your wife's cooking. I've realized. So she cooks really well, by the way. If you can't tell, if you look at me, I'm well fed. So she cooks really well. I cook well, but I stopped cooking once she started. She does so well. So
Well,
anyway,
I hope I get to meet you soon.
yeah.
I try to avoid I-35 up to Austin because it's a little crazy, but I will hopefully make that effort very soon and give you a call and hopefully we can get together.
Sounds
Before we
great.
say bye, before
Yeah.
we say bye, since I've got your attention, do you only help software, SaaS, IT services companies, or do you also help physical products?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do help. We have a number of we have what 20,000 plus customers in kind of all industries, on-prem customers. A lot of them have deployed because they choose, right? If there's highly regulated industries, they usually don't want to do SaaS, right? So we have helped those kind of companies. In fact, a lot of our customers are on-prem just because of choice, right? We do have a cloud-based offer. So yeah, we do all kinds of things across.
But like even like I don't know, helping manufacturing sector, like
Absolutely.
factories.
One of my, in fact, the customer I'm visiting this week is a big manufacturing company that takes on existing manufacturing shop floors and optimizes them. That's their business.
Okay,
Can't mention names, but yeah, that's what they
sure.
do, right? So they're using Gen AI and automation to make their business better.
Okay. I
Exciting.
mentioned that because I'm starting a new projects in India, and I'll brainstorm that with you some other time
For
when I
sure.
start that. But just good to know, Satish. Wonderful getting to know you. Appreciate your honest and fun conversation, and I've really enjoyed this. So hopefully we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you very much to you and Sabrina. and look forward to continuing this journey together. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I feel like you are the perfect definition of what our podcast is about, entertaining and inspiring. So thank you for doing that with us today. Everyone, this has been another episode of Indian Explorers. Please share and subscribe. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. Have a great
And
day, everyone.
and I'm going to go prepare for my next marathon.